right, looking good. Hey, no sass from the weather this morning. In fact, tonight for your health with a look at why this is happening and what, if any.
Company Sears Holdings filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Well, since then, scores of Kmart and Sears stores have all shut down.
Television is something we tend to trust. It's background noise in the living room, a steady flow of entertainment, news, and familiarity. When you turn on the TV, you expect normalcy, which is exactly why signal intrusions, when someone hijacks a broadcast, are so unsettling. In 1987, Chicago saw one of the most infamous examples, the Max Headroom incident, where a masked figure broke into the airwaves with bizarre, distorted behavior. That event was real, investigated, and remains unsolved. But decades later, another story began circulating online, one that seemed even more disturbing. This wasn't a confirmed hijack like Max Headroom, but something much harder to pin down. Allegedly, a small Wyoming broadcast was overtaken by an unknown source. What followed was a series of cryptic images, floating human heads with distorted expressions, flashing text that read, "Special Presentation," and unsettling phrases that seemed designed to disturb. Some accounts claimed it even caused physical side effects, from nausea and headaches to hallucinations. But unlike Max Headroom, there's no official record of this broadcast. It exists in a strange place between fact and fiction, blending elements of real broadcast intrusions with an online ARG. Welcome to the Wyoming incident.
Wyoming today, making him the first to visit in preparation for the 2008 general election. Republican President Jackson. Mitt Romney also plans on visiting Denver and Cheyenne on his presidential tour.
According to the legend, the broadcast began in Niobrara County, Wyoming. It was a quiet night, and local residents tuned into their small television station as usual. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Then the screen flickered. For several seconds, viewers stared at the void, assuming there had been some kind of technical problem. Then, suddenly, words appeared in bold white letters. Special presentation. The text lingered for a few moments before informing the audience, "You will see such pretty things." Then the first image that followed was startling. A man's head appeared, floating against a black background. He didn't speak, he didn't blink. His expression was blank, yet strangely intense, as though he was watching you rather than the other way around. After several seconds, the image cut away. A set of text replaced it. "Why do you hate?" followed by another face. This one grimaced faintly, lips curled as if suppressing pain. Then more text, and another face, and so on. Each head was different, but all shared the same lifelessness. Between these images, more text appeared on screen. Short, cryptic sentences in stark lettering. What hides in your mind? We have already seen it. You are lost on the path. And finally, there is truth in fiction. The messages were intercut with the phrase, "special presentation," flashing over and over, as though to remind the viewers that what they were watching had a purpose. Though as of now, it's unclear what that purpose was. The broadcast lasted several minutes, and just as suddenly as it had begun, it ended. Regular programming resumed, as if nothing had happened. No station acknowledgement, no technical explanation. Nothing. According to those who claim to have seen it, the Wyoming broadcast did more than unsettle. It caused physical reactions. People described nausea, dizziness, even headaches that lingered long after the screen returned to normal. A few even claimed hallucinations. Later explanations suggested the possibility of infrasound. These are sound frequencies too low for human ears to detect, yet powerful enough to cause real physical discomfort. Scientists have shown that frequencies around 17 to 19 Hz can vibrate the human eyeball in a way that creates visual disturbances, as though something is moving in your peripheral vision. Combined with the disturbing imagery, these frequencies could explain why the Wyoming incident felt much more intense than a simple prank. Of course, no official source has ever confirmed that such audio was embedded in the clip, but the idea adds to the already cursed atmosphere of the video itself. When the footage first spread, people debated its authenticity. Some few believed that it was real entirely. Some argued that the phrasing suggested subliminal messaging, part of some larger psychological test. It was around this time that an online forum known as the Happy Cube appeared. At first, it seemed like a gathering place for those interested in dissecting the incident, but it soon became something else entirely. Something not real. The Happy Cube forum was the launch point for an alternate reality game tied to the Wyoming incident. Hidden codes within the footage pointed players to documents, websites, and puzzles. These breadcrumbs expanded the story into a much larger narrative. According to the lore, the broadcast was not a random intrusion, but part of a series of experiments conducted by a shadowy organization. The human heads in the video weren't actors or stock footage. They were victims, subjects of psychological conditioning, designed to break them down and rebuild them. The text phrases were revealed to be part of the conditioning process. "We just want to fix you," suggested the experiment's goal of reprogramming the mind. "You will not be happy," implied the cost of their methods. The Wyoming incident, in this context, was only one piece of a much broader project. The ARG added new layers of mythology. There were stories of enigmatic figures referred to as operators, who appeared connected to the broadcast. Tales of black-eyed children linked to the same forces behind the Wyoming transmission. Rumors of a hidden civil war within the organization itself. Factions vying for control of the project. The story grew sprawling and chaotic, built piece by piece by different contributors. No single person controlled it. It was a living mythos, shaped by the community that engaged with it. What made the Wyoming incident so convincing and intriguing is that it wasn't created in a vacuum. Broadcast hijackings are real. In 1977, a UK news broadcast was interrupted by a voice identifying itself as a representative of the Ashtar Galactic Command, warning humanity to disarm its weapons. In 1986, an engineer named John McDougall, better known as Captain Midnight, hijacked HBO's satellite feed to protest rising subscription prices. And in 1987, Chicago experienced the infamous Max Headroom intrusion, in which a man in a rubber mask interrupted local programming with bizarre, unsettling antics. These incidents gave the Wyoming story a foundation in reality. It was easy to imagine that something similar could have happened in a small, rural state where local broadcasts would attract less media attention, and the analog quality of the footage only reinforced this illusion. Despite its tale, the Wyoming incident, of course, never happened. Unlike Max Headroom or Captain Midnight, there are no FCC records, no news coverage, no eyewitness testimony that predates the footage surfaced online. Every trace of the Wyoming broadcast comes from internet lore, not historical record. The footage itself was deliberately manufactured to look old, styled after analog video of the 1980s. The ARG was intentionally fragmented, leaving players to fill in the gaps and spread the story further. It was never a real broadcast, but a collaborative work of digital media. And yet, its legend remains. The Wyoming incident never aired on Wyoming television. There was no mysterious broadcast, no reports of sickened viewers, no shadowy experiment lurking in the background. But the story continues to spread, taking its place alongside real hijackings in the public imagination. And perhaps that's the point. The Wyoming incident doesn't need to be real to be frightening. It plays on our trust in the television screen, our assumption that what we see there is safe and familiar. By twisting that trust into something hostile and unknowable, it becomes far more powerful than a simple prank. In the end, the incident lingers because it asked a question with no comfortable answer. If you saw something like this on your television late at night, how would you ever be sure it was just a story? Stay curious, and as always, thank you for watching.